Now your time has
When we thought that, okay, the holidays are done, now things quiet down, we were wrong. It is so busy lately. So many things happening in our community. And we have another one to tell you about. Rick Schmidt is in the studio. He's the spokesperson for the National Winter Meet of Antique Cars, and it will be on the 25th. Over across the street from where we're broadcasting right now, over at the College of Central Florida. And in fact, Robin was telling me that some of the trailers that will bring the antique cars over there will be parked over here during the event. The National Winter Meet of Antique Cars, Saturday, February 25th from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the College of Central Florida. It's a free event, and Rick Schmidt is here to answer all of our questions about that. Good morning again, Rick, now that we're on the air.
Good morning.
Thank you. Are you an antique car owner?
Oh, that's a bit of an understatement.
It's an understatement.
Yes, I have an illness as far as that goes. I've got a little.
Meaning, how many you have?
Just over 200.
200? My gosh, when did you start collecting cars?
Well, it's a collaboration between my father and I, but and all my life and all my father's lives, we've had collector cars coming and going through the family but we could only keep one or two as I was growing up. It all started around 1989 when our company, National Parts Depot, really started to kind of get up on plane and was running well. My dad decided that he wanted to start, quote, playing with cars again, and he bought a 1957 Mercury that year, and then another car, and next thing you know, we had a half a dozen, then a dozen, and we started storing them all over the place in Gainesville. And when we relocated here to Ocala, we brought them all down here with us, and kept on adding and kept on adding. But I've really felt right at 200 that it's enough, and I'm trying to slow down.
So the show on the 25th, is it all your cars?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to show a couple of my cars at the show.
Okay.
There's 257 pre-registered cars for the show, and I do want to stress to any car enthusiasts that are listening that you have to be pre-registered to participate in this show. And the AACA, Antique Automobile Club of America, these national events are all about, it's a judged event, and these are all cars that are restored to original factory stock specification.
Really?
The club's primary purpose is dedicated to preserving the vehicles as historic artifacts. So it's not a street rod show. It's not a hot rod show of any type. And I really also want to stress to the enthusiasts out there that is in no way the club looking down its nose or thinking that those cars aren't good enough.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that. We love everything that rolls on four wheels or even two wheels, because there will be motorcycles also showing at the show as well. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that these national events have been going on for decades, and they are all about measuring cars by their correctness.
I had no idea that this was so big.
Yeah.
So with that said, and I'm glad you mentioned the part about not being condescending, not looking down your nose, but is the judge's job at this event more detailed than a judge, let's say, at the Walmart parking lot car show?
Oh, yes. Yes,
because
the judges have to be more experienced. They have to know what's right and what's wrong with the era or the class that they're judging, and there are certain standards.
Is that you? I mean, could you do that?
I could do it. Yeah.
So if I drove down the road with you, because we do this game, Robin and I. We say, what kind of car is that?
Yeah.
And I'll say, it's a Mustang. I can identify a Mustang or a Corvette. That's about it. She knows almost all the cars.
I'm good with Camaros.
Yeah.
And she knows some of the years. I can't do that. You can do that though, right?
Oh yeah. I've been doing it all my life though. Since I was a kid, I was trying to memorize years and makes and models of just about everything. So.
This is rather exciting. So I had a 1970 Nova.
Yes, you did.
Was my 1970 Nova a collector's item?
It is today. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
It had a hole in the floor.
In fact, the right body style and with the right driveline with the SS package in a Nova can be a rather expensive collectible car these days.
It had a radio. Does the radio count?
That's not a bad option to have if you want to listen to music, but it doesn't bump the price of the car.
Oh, it doesn't. But does it count in the judging?
It has to be an original radio. You can't have an
Oh, I
aftermarket
see.
radio
Okay.
in
Well,
there.
mine
Yeah.
had the original.
Since this is a national show, are celebrities like Jay Leno going to be there because they're huge car collectors?
They are, but no, I don't. Well, there could be a celebrity there. Sometimes cars that are owned by celebrities are run through the AACA shows because these cars are judged to a good high standard, and it's a national show. People are competing to get their first place award on a national level because it adds pedigree and value to their vehicle. And if they ever do go to sell it, it also proves to the potential buyer that the car really is right, restored correctly, and that it's original like it's supposed to be. So it's a really neat thing. And again, I just want to stress to all the street rodders and all the just general car enthusiasts out there, don't let your egos get in the way on this because the egos seem to go in both directions. Some of the stock guys don't like the street rod stuff, and some of the street rod guys, they grouse about the stock people as being snobs, and it's nothing like that whatsoever. If you come to the show, you're just going to be wowed, and you're going to see a whole ton of stuff that you'd never have the opportunity to see at a local cruise-in. There's going to be I've got pre-registered. We've got a 1934 Rolls Royce. We've got a 1914 Cadillac Phaeton. There's a Thomas Flyer. Have you ever seen a Thomas Flyer in person
I don't know
before?
what that is.
Plus, there's going to be tons of beautiful 50s iron.
Irons?
Iron. You call
What is
cars.
that?
They're
Oh, you
made out
call
of
cars
metal.
irons?
There's going to be Cadillacs and Chevrolets.
Wait a minute. I want to learn this. So
Fords.
I call a car an iron? That's a good word?
No,
From
not
1950?
an iron, but you just it's an adjective.
Okay.
Only for the 1950s. The irons of the 1950s.
All the cars today are built out of aluminum and plastic.
Oh, okay.
So when you're talking about old cars, you're talking about old
Okay.
iron.
I got you.
And there's going to be a ton of muscle cars there. There will even be fun cars from the 70s and 80s from the disco era, and it's just a real walk back through time. You won't see any
Hitmobiles.
modified cars there, but it's just a walk back in history. So I think you don't have a pulse if you're a car person and you can't come to this show and really have an appreciation for the craftsmanship involved, the labor that people invested into these vehicles, and then the vehicles themselves as a piece of American industrial art.
Oh my gosh,
and
it sounds
history.
exciting.
And it's just going to be a huge display, and same thing for the motorcycle people. You'll see a ton of classic motorcycles there as well.
If you're just tuning in, Rick Schmidt is our guest. He's the spokesperson for the National Winter Meet of Antique Cars. This is a national event, and I didn't know. Oh, it does say that. The National Winter Meet of Antique Cars. It'll be on Saturday, February 25th, here in Ocala, right over at the college of Central Florida, right across from the mall. It's from 11 a.m. till 3. It's free. So I have two different directions I want to go. One probably is for the real hardcore car guy like yourself. So I'll ask that one first, and maybe it isn't that hardcore of a question because it's coming from me. But let's say you have two cars that are exactly identical. Everything's identical, and you look under the hood, and the judge sees, oh, there's a what's a good piece under the hood, Robin? Name something.
Carburetor?
There's a carburetor. Mm-hmm. And this guy has the original one.
And
this other guy has one that was made in Europe or something.
Well, or just not the right one for the car, right?
But maybe it's the right one. But it was because
A reproduction.
didn't we ship everything overseas?
There's an awful lot that's reproduced in Taiwan and China. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, would the guy with the American original carburetor win in that case?
Yes and no. He would score higher, and I'll explain this. The cars are judged against a point system, so you're not. And as long as you score enough points and you don't get enough deductions, if the car is correct enough and done to a level of craftsmanship that's acceptable, you're going to get a first place. And then the highest scoring car within that class, he sets the benchmark. Any other cars that are also going to get a national first place award have to score within a certain amount of points of that other car. Mm-hmm. So if a guy shows up in your class with just a knockout, absolutely dead nuts right restoration, you're
Dead
crossing
nuts.
your fingers.
I love that phrase.
I'm going to use that
Dead
for
nuts.
You're going to be crossing your fingers and your toes that your car doesn't get so many points deducted that you fall out of contention to stick with that car.
Rick, hang on,
there could be a bunch of first places.
We'll be right back. We got a little
Wow.
break.
Brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Thursday, clouds and a passing shower, giving way to some sun. It'll become increasingly windy and turn less humid this afternoon. Highs in the mid to upper 70s. And for Thursday night, moonlit and colder. Low 40 in a few inland spots, 51 on the coast. Friday will be mostly sunny. The high 68 to 72. Saturday, plenty of sunshine and a bit warmer. High 76 to 80. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
On this episode of What Not to Do, brought to you by
Mike's got plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Why is there a mariachi band in... Wait, are you digging up the yard again?
It's not what it looks like.
Oh, really? Because it looks like you're tearing up my yard right over the septic tank.
Okay, so maybe it's a little bit what it looks like. See, what happened was...
Wait, let me guess. The septic is backing up and you thought you were Fix-It Guy again and would take it upon yourself and dig up my yard?
That's Mr. Fix-It Guy.
Uh-huh. What do we say the new rule was?
No eBay when you're not home.
Well, yes, but not that one. If water runs through it...
I know, they do it. But this is septic.
Yes, Mike's Got Plumbing does septic.
I knew that.
866-314-4443.
I know. 866-314-4443. Got it.
And what's with the mariachi band?
You didn't say anything about Amazon.
on next week's episode of What Not to Do.
Aw, come on, an elephant?
If you or a loved one is suffering with knee, shoulder, neck or back pain, plantar fasciitis, peripheral neuropathy, and even tennis elbow, and would like to learn about how there are treatments that may benefit you, go to drjuanyordan.com, then listen in on the first and third Thursday at 10 a.m. and hear from health professionals doing these treatments and patients who have benefited from them. First and third Thursdays, 10 a.m. Next Generation MD, right here on The Source.
All right, 17 minutes after 11 o'clock on the 25th of February, across the street at the college is an antique car show that you do not want to miss. So far, Rick Schmidt has given us enough information to make us want to go. Absolutely. It'll be from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. on the 25th. It's a competition. I guess there are two schools right here. There's us, the rest of us, that just drive cars and are kind of interested in them. And then there's the guys like Rick, who has 200 antique cars in his collection. 3 or 4 of them are going to be at the show, right? And just a few of them, you said? A handful?
I'm going to have 3 of them at the show, yes.
But how many actual total cars again? You said the number earlier.
257 are pre-registered.
257.
Nice.
So the phone line is open. I haven't been answering the phones because I wanted to talk to Rick, but you are welcome to call in. Let me take a couple of these. The number, if you don't know, is 622-9622. And good morning. You're first. You're on with Rick.
Hey, how you doing, Rick? I'm looking forward to this week. When I was down in Naples last year and they said it was going to be in Ocala, I was thrilled.
Yes.
I've traveled all over the country, Grand Nationals, everything else, and to have one this close, I'm bringing 5 cars now, and I've been bringing them down from New York slowly and storing them down here to have that opportunity because it'll never happen again.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic. Good.
But it's a strong emphasis that it's pre-registered only, AACA members, and rain or shine.
Yes, that's correct. Rain or shine, and for anybody who wants to come spectate, there's no charge to see the show, but the best times for viewing is between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I got a car in a lift now. I'm just cleaning it up, trying to get it. I got my junior with it in 2003, and I finally decided to restore it. So I hope this will be its debut since I finished it.
Awesome. Well, it's nice. We're happy we could bring a national meet to your backyard.
Oh, I'm thrilled.
Very
that
cool.
Williamsport last year, the Grand National, that was spectacular.
Oh, my God.
I'm looking forward to this.
Sounds fun. Hey, thank you for the call. And good luck, by the way. Good luck. So have you ever found a car, like in a junkyard, that was really a mess? You said, oh, my gosh, I can fix this up?
Well, I wouldn't recommend that as being the optimal way to do a restoration, because the worse the shape of the car is, the more money you're going to spend and the more time you're going to put into it. But we have done some restorations on cars in our collection that started in very sad shape, And the most noteworthy one is I've got a 1956 Continental Mark II that was originally ordered by Henry Ford II.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Ford family's personal car, but when we acquired it, it was so in pieces and so rusty that it took my father half a day just to load the pieces into his trailer.
Oh my.
That was a project. I'd say over 3,000 man-hours went into that restoration.
Wow.
I know you want to thank them all. How did this come to Ocala? How did it happen that it's in Ocala?
My father and his close friends are very, very active AACA members. Larry Gallion and Don McCullen. I wish I could list everybody who's helping with this. In fact, I'd like to thank the AACA chapters up in Gainesville, the North Central Florida region, the Kingdom of the Sun region here in Ocala, and the King of the Road chapter, and also the Villages region. We've got a ton of volunteers and a lot of people working on this, and it was really my father and Larry and Don just all kind of said, hey, the club is having a hard time finding clubs to actually stand up and go through the whipping that this is to put together an event of this magnitude. And he said, let's do it. So we called up the director of AACA and put in our application, and
It's
and here
very
we are.
exciting. So do we as spectators know, like you said, one of the cars was ordered by Henry Ford. Do we know that without asking? Is there a sign of something by each car?
There's at these shows there's rules that just to keep the show field uncluttered, and the cars are supposed to be the stars. So you're not going to see stuffed animals or stuffed babies leaning against bumpers or big
No
display
hoop
boards.
skirts, no the 50s girls. No,
But they are allowed to have a AACA approved signage in front of the cars, and, and hopefully a lot of the cars will have that will give you special stories about the car. But some of them don't. If you're interested in a car, usually the owner of the car will be sitting in a chair behind it, and these people are very friendly and anxious and would love to talk to you about their vehicle and any of the special attributes about it.
I've been to a few car shows, and they actually have had mirrors under the hood when it was raised. Is
Right.
this going to be at your car show, the mirrors?
No, that would get points deducted because those didn't roll off the assembly line with mirrors under the hood.
Oh, really? Oh, my gosh.
No, this is hardcore. It's and it's fun. I encourage everybody to have an open mind with it because it really will blow your mind what people are able to accomplish as far as the originality. It's in some ways a lot more challenging to put them back to stock than it sometimes is just to build a modified kind of street rotted car out of one.
Can you give us a little lesson on this? Is antique different from classic, different from collector?
Oh boy, I think some of that can just be is semantics.
It's just semantics. Okay.
With the AACA, if your car is 25 years old or older, you can participate. That's their threshold.
So that makes it an antique.
Yeah.
So the word classic, like when you get your license plate from the state, and
every state has a different definition. They might be 25 years, 30 years, 20 years. I don't know about that, but 25 years for AACA. So years 1992 and earlier is what you're going to see represented at the show.
There was a story the other day, and forgive me, I don't remember if it was a Ferrari or a Jaguar. It was some high-priced car that was in some apartment, I think, in New York, since it was brand new. Did you see this story? Does anybody ever buy a car when it's brand new and just keep it for one day when they think it's going to be worth something? You've got some of them.
I've got some of those types of cars in my collection, cars that were never titled ever, never sold at retail. I've got some cars that are some 60s era Fords that have less than 20 original miles on them. I've got a 1940 Lincoln that's only got a little bit over 600 miles on it. And that's really what I like to collect is the survivor cars that are still like new but never needed restoration.
Wow. Are they all American cars?
Mostly.
It's a phone call.
I can count my foreign cars on one hand.
Wow.
So mostly Ford and GM products, split down the middle, a couple Chrysler products. Our collection was really free form. There was never any master plan behind it. Just quality and styling and we just.
What do you drive? What do you drive? How did you get here?
I drove my Audi here. I've got an Audi.
Oh, there you go.
A8. It's a large sedan. My daughters kept just getting bigger and bigger, and the Shelby Mustang that I drove was getting more and more ridiculous to cram them in to drive them.
Oh yeah.
So we got Joe Martin just brought in a question. Somebody must have called out there. Mm-hmm. Is it allowed to put a car for sale at the show?
First of all, if you're not pre-registered, you can't be in the show. And if you're in the show, no, you're not allowed to display a for sale sign. That would be a problem. There's going to be a ton of local car enthusiasts, I'm certain, driving their classic car to the show. So the parking lots
really?
the parking lot surrounding the show will probably be a car show in itself.
Like a mini show.
And I would encourage whoever wants to do that and then you're going to have all these other car enthusiasts with their regular cars attending the show. Just come to the show, park your car, and put as many for sale signs as you want in the parking. But like I said, you have to be pre-registered to be in the show, and if you were in the show, a for sale sign would not be
don't miss
allowed.
this one, Ocala. This is a treat. All right, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, good morning. There's a fellow that I met at the Waffle House a few months back, and he has a Model A that he is the third owner of. And he has all of the paperwork from the first two owners. And he's got it in original condition. It's probably going to be on exhibit there. But I mean, this is just a remarkable automobile.
Neat, very neat. My father's very first car is a 1928 Model A, and he still has it. He bought it when he was 14 years old.
Wow.
Out of a junkyard in Ohio and restored it.
All right, have a good morning, all.
Thank you.
Nice. Can you tell, because I was in the car last week with my mother and we saw like a hot rod kind of a car, and she was wondering if it was built from a kit or if it was original. Can you tell just by looking at them if they're built from a kit or the original vehicle?
When you're talking about street rods, a lot of the street rods are built using fiberglass reproduction bodies instead of original steel bodies.
Oh.
And the trained eye can pick out the fiberglass just looking at edges and joints real quickly.
That's an art.
So we will not see the Batmobile. We will not see the Beverly Hillbillies truck.
You will see, even though they're technically extremely modified, the AACA does have a class for historic race cars, but it has to be a race car that was actually a race
Like
car
Don
back
Garlett's
in the
kind?
day. Don Garlitz could show his dragster, technically in AACA, as long as it was a dragster from the day it was built. So there will be some race cars in that class as
Wow.
Do you ever have the
Fabulous.
museums asking you for a car to put in their museum? Like, are any of your cars in museums? Maybe that's the better way to ask.
I've loaned the cars out for displays before. The Jacksonville Museum of Art, which isn't a car museum, but they did a display where they wanted some cars as part of their display.
Are you a Geico customer?
The classic car insurance is is a niche market, and it's actually very affordable. If anybody who's thinking about of buying a classic as a fun car or as a project, usually as long as you don't have some sort of a crazy driving record, you can get it insured with very good coverage for somewhere between $200 and $300 a year.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Gosh, that doesn't seem like much then.
You mentioned your daughter. Is she a collector too?
I've got 3 daughters, and the oldest, Ashley, she loves the cars, but she's still just working on her career, and she's in her mid-20s, and then I've got a 15-year-old and a 11-year-old, and they get dropped off to school in various cars all the time, so they enjoy it. But you know what? I don't pressure them about it, and I don't press it on them. So hopefully, when they do get older, Dad hasn't jaded them, and they actually do enjoy the cars.
Yeah.
Are you yourself going to have a separate booth from the cars so that other people can come in and talk to you just to get more detailed information about the different shows around the country and things like that?
Oh, I'm your spokesperson today, but day of show I'm actually going to be showing 2 cars myself, so I'll be busy dusting and interacting with my judging teams. They'll be asking me questions, and I'll just be one of several hundred car owners there just getting through the day.
Oh, okay.
I'm so glad you came in, Rick. This is so exciting. I mean, I just drive a car, but I like going to these kind of things. What?
I just drive a car.
And thanks for allowing me to come on and to promote the event, and thanks to the Paddock Mall for accommodating our trailer parking, because that's a a big problem is trying to find enough available parking to put all the rigs and trailers, because some big rigs come in.
Are the cars going to be parked there the night before, or are they all going to come in the morning, early?
They're going to all be under security, and they'll all be left inside their trailer, so you won't be able to see anything the night before whatsoever. I wouldn't encourage anybody to try to come out to the Paddock Mall and look at cars, because you're just going to get shooed off. Obviously our first priority is to protect those
and
cars.
Just between us men, did you get your wife a Valentine's Day gift yet?
No.
You'll thank me later. You will thank me later for that.
I'm always last minute.
Rick Schmidt, thank you. You're fun. The National Winter Meet of Antique Cars happening right across the street here in Ocala at the College of Central Florida, and it's on the 25th of this month from 11 a.m. till 3. That's the best viewing times, right?
Yeah. The cars will start rolling onto the show field as early as 7 a.m., I believe. But between 7 and 11, all the owners are really trying to do a final dusting and detailing and getting their cars ready, and the judges are starting to go.
Can you slip in a quick website or a phone number? Do you want to do that?
There's no real website for the meet, but if anybody has any questions whatsoever, they should call Donna McCullen at 352-256-9124.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. We'll enter the news right now. Already in progress, this is WOCA Ocala.
Saying the air traffic control system is out of date and saying the federal contract for a new system isn't good enough. More than 3,000 flights, meanwhile, across the country grounded by the massive storm hitting the Northeast.
Flights into and out of airports from Philadelphia to Boston are affected. That'll have a ripple effect on the rest of the country. Schools